I heard you guys were looking for creepy stories. Well, I got another one. This one is about this woman that my father used to date who can actually see dead people. Like, I mean, she can see them in their physical form. One time, she actually saw my mother, and if you don't know, my mother's deceased. I already told that story. It's further down on my page. But this story time is about what actually happened to her after she tried to move on from her deceased husband. When I met her, she had really, really bad chronic pain in her hip and in one of her feet. You know, older people tend to have random pain, so I didn't really think anything of it. Until one day, she told me exactly how she got those injuries, if you want to call it that. So she used to be married, so her husband is now deceased. And according to her, they were really in love and really inseparable. His death was very sudden, sad, and extremely tragic. It was really hard for her to move on, and I'm going to assume that it was hard for him to move on as well, judging by the next series of events. Because he did have a very sudden passing and it was a shock to everybody, like, we would expect his spirit to, like, you know, be roaming around. After he died, during his funeral, she was telling me that she was actually seeing him in his physical form at his own funeral. He sat next to her the entire time of the funeral, and she assumed that, you know, after the burial, after everything, like, he would leave. She was right. He left and then came back every night. And keep in mind, this is not a dream. Like, and everything that I'm about to explain to you guys happened in the physical realm. She was seeing and interacting with this dead person in the physical realm. One night she was asleep and all of a sudden she heard this noise that woke her up and has her looking around the room. Well, when she scanned the room, she sees her deceased husband standing by the door. Now, she was already no stranger to this because she's been seeing dead people since she was a kid. But still, it was just like, you know, she would look at him and express to him, like, you know, you don't have to stay behind. I know you're worried about me, but I'll be fine. Like, I do actually just need you to pass on. And, well, he refused to. This would basically happen every day for 2 weeks straight, where she would just wake up in the middle of the night and there's a ghost in her room. Even though she loved the man, this is not normal. It is not normal or okay to have any type of death or dead people attached to you. So she really needed him to stop coming. 2 weeks later, she wakes up, and now this time, this man, this deceased man, is sitting at the edge of her bed. So this is the point where she really starts to get terrified because she's like, am I being stalked by the dead? So she looks at him and she asks him, can you please leave me alone? You know, you have passed on. So she's looking at him and she's pleading with him like, please just leave me alone. I really don't want to do this with you. And this is when, according to her, the spirit got aggressive. And at this point, it's 2, 3 in the morning. Keep that in mind. She gets out of bed, start her prayers to, you know, banish the spirit. The spirit disappears. She's thinking God is good. I've been saved. You know, she's still very weary. But, like, she would lay back down and try to go back to sleep. It's been an hour and she ain't see this motherfucker, so he must actually be gone. Well, on the verge of her falling asleep, guess who came back? That deceased husband made a comeback, and this time he was laying on the bed next to her. And mind you, she's on the verge of falling asleep, so to her, she's like very, very loopy. She then feels like somebody's putting their arms around her, like it's a hug. So then from there, she yokes up and starts fighting a ghost. He's really pleading for her to not leave him in this state, and she's pleading for him to leave. And it's like she's trying to defend herself, but it's a ghost. So in the fights of her trying to push this thing off of her, and this thing is like, you know, literally making contact with her, she finally manages to like get away from it, and she's like scooting back on the bed. Here she is scooting back on the bed, trying to get away from him, and this ghost grabs her ankle and yanks her closer to him. Remember the foot problem earlier that I said she had? That is where that began. At this point, she's kicking her foot to save her life. And within all the struggling, she winds up getting hit again on her hip, which would then explain the chronic hip pains that she's been having. So she actually told me that story 10 years later while she was with my dad, so she actually lived to tell that story. And even 10 years later, she still chronically suffers from her ankle and her hip till this day. Yeah, don't fight a ghost. So if you're enjoying these videos, go ahead and leave me a comment letting me know that you fuck with these stories and that you fucked with me, because I fuck with y'all. Like, I really do. I do. If you made it to the end, you're my dog. The Chronicles of Ghost Bitch. I like that. This next one was so annoying because this was the day that Ghost Biatch decided to take her antics to the next level. See, with me, I have a lot of patience. I will stand a lot, okay? But once you touch my bud, my marijuana, now we got beef. We got major beef. So mind you, my ghost just always would steal my AirPods, my lighters, like, and I know every smoker, like, you know, you would like lose your lighter or misplace your lighter in the middle of a sesh, but you usually wind up finding it because you just misplaced it or it just rolled off of your lap or something. No, my lighters would just go missing. Like, I'm on my bed, because like I smoke on my bed, and I just used the lighter. There's nothing else on my bed, and lighter is now gone. I look under my pillows, no light. Shake my blanket out, no lighter. Look behind my bed, no lighter. Look all around my room, even though I have not moved from the single spot that I was laying in. Still, no lighter. So now I would have to physically get up and go to the store to purchase a new lighter, and the amount of store trips that I took to buy lighters is insane. I should be entitled to compensation. Or if it's too late and the store is closed, then I have to get up and go to the kitchen and spark my spliff using the stove. At first it was like my AirPods, my lighters, and then it kind of progressed to like my spoons, my forks, my knives. And it's like, well, okay, well, maybe you're accidentally throwing away your spoons and your forks. I eat from Uber Eats. I'm not using them. So where are they going? Now, into the story about the time that my neighbor looked at me sideways, and I didn't do nothing. Basically, me and my neighbor at the time, we was just like siph a lot. So I would either go to her apartment or she would come to my apartment. And at that time, that day, we decided, you know what, we were both running low. She was gonna come over here. And she had a little nug, and so did I. We were both running low, and girl, the money was not moneying. So, you know, we were just gonna make our heads meet. Now, it's around 2 p.m., and I'm really trying to hold on to this nug for dear life. But I had somebody coming over at 7 who's gonna bring me some more. So, you know, my neighbor's like, all right, bet. I'm pulling up. I got my nug. You got your nug. That's at least like 4 rolls, you know? Bet. Now, she pulls up, and she rolls hers first. So now we're in my room, on my bed, siphon. Then I get a phone call from my former teacher, so I step out of the room to get the phone call. Now, I left the room to go speak to the teacher in the living room because now my neighbor was in here. We were also watching TV, so I didn't want to be disruptive, so I just left the room. And this is like a catching up phone call. So this phone call is running on like longer than we both expected. And I would occasionally come to the room to see what my neighbor's doing, like, so I wound up telling her, hey, this phone call is going on much longer than I expected, so can you roll up in the meantime? She's like, yeah, that's what I've been trying to do. I've been looking for the bud. I'm like, oh, it's on the bed. And then I resume to my conversation. 30 minutes later, I get off the phone. For total, I was on the phone for an hour and a half. But at that point that I had told her to roll up and she told me that she was looking for the bud and stuff and I told her where it was, that would have been 30 minutes prior before I got off the phone. So I got off the phone and I walk in my room expecting a rolled but to my surprise, my neighbor is still looking for the bud. I'm like, girl, step aside. It's on my bed. It was right here the whole time. I look on my bed. It's not on my bed. I'm like, okay, shake out my blanket. It's not in the blanket. Okay. And keep in mind, my neighbor is looking with me. I moved my bed. Can't find it. Now, this is getting serious. I really do have a problem. I hate looking for stuff. With a passion. Stuff that I know where I put. And after I moved my bed, I'm pissed. And now it's time for me to start rummaging my things. And at this point, yes, I did have my drawers. So I'm just like throwing things out of my drawers. Like literally, I turned my room upside down to look for one nug. I'm on all fours, looking underneath the dressers, looking underneath this little table I got, looking underneath the chairs. Nothing. And my neighbor is helping me look. And at some point, she just stops. And she says, Nayla, if you didn't want to share your spliff, you could have just said that. You didn't have to have me stand here helping you look. Listen, I'm a great actress, neighbor, but I ain't that good. I promise you I could not find it. And I promise you I had it before you got here. And I also promise you that I had every intention of sparking it with you. It's not like I just smoked yours and just said, fuck you. And I'm like, I could see where you would think that. But like, no, I swear. She leaves and at this point, my guest pulls up. And I'm like, it's all good. I'll just take a nug from her and I'll just siph that with my neighbor after she leaves. Why the girl pull up dry? She get here, she's dry, she looking at me, I'm looking at her. And it's just, I cannot let go of this nug. Like, there was nothing I could do about it. So I decided, let me just drop it and just enjoy my time with this girl. I get up, I go to the bathroom, and I remember this till this day. I open my door walk back to my room. Is that my nug? Right on the floor, literally right on the floor, was my nug. So I pick it up and I told the girl that was sitting in my room why I'm so shocked why this nug is back, because I hadn't told her about the story with the neighbor. So I'm like, yo, you have no idea what I just went through. So I pick up my phone to go call my neighbor to tell her, hey, I found it, just to show her, prove to her that I wasn't lying. And the girl literally says, why would you call her and tell her? We could just smoke it right now. And I wanted to smoke, so I smoked it with the girl. I wound up telling my neighbor about it like later that night. Like, yeah, girl, I wound up finding it. It was literally on the floor. But I enrolled the entire thing with the girl. I had saved one more for later that day. She pulled up after the girl left, and then we just talked about it and laughed about it. And then she did it again. And this time was September of last year. I was really running low, and again, it's always when I'm running low and I cannot cop right now. I was planning on going to Miami Carnival, and it was right around the corner, so I wasn't about to keep copping. So whatever I had, I was really gonna make it last until Miami, because I was gonna cop for Miami 3 days before Miami. Now I'm a procrastinator. I didn't even pack yet, so my room was not a mess again. And at that time, I had 2 friends staying with me, and they're all just literally like, it's a scavenger hunt for clips, any like leftovers that we could find. Like, we're really squeezing. And I remember I have well over an eighth left, and I was honestly kind of hiding it from them. I didn't want them to know, but within that moment, it was desperate. Everybody was looking for clips, like little scraps. So I said, let me just pull out my handy dandy eighth. No eighth, nowhere. Again, got my friends to look with me. Now, we are all desperate potheads. Like, we were looking, okay? I looked through my drawers. I can't even begin to tell you. Again, I looked through everything. I lost that eighth, and it never popped up until I got back home from Miami. And I spent 2 weeks out in Miami. I came back from Miami, and I was ultra broke when I came back. And maybe 2 days after I came back, I decided to pack some of my stuff back into some drawers. And the first drawer I opened up, Lord and behold, my eighth on top of all of my clothes. Now, I packed to go to Miami. I opened those same drawers to get my clothes out of the drawers to go to Miami. I looked for the bud way before that. Looked through the freaking closet. Looked through the drawers. Looked through everything. Y'all, it was not there. But when I came back home from Miami, at the time that I needed it the freaking most, I found it. And let me just say this, those friends that I was looking desperately everywhere for, my bud, to smoke with them, wound up leaving my ass stranded in Miami, okay? So I guess Ghost Bitch was like, nah, girl, you're gonna need this for later. I noticed some of the comments, a lot of people were also saying, like, if you calling her Ghost Biatch, like, she's gonna get mad. That's my bitch. We cool. I done cried to her, and I would just speak to her, and maybe I'm just crazy, but I would feel like she answers, because I would ask certain questions, and then the answers would just pop up in my head. And y'all, I don't know why while I'm shooting these story times my ring light keeps going out, but hey, it's part of my life, eh? But yeah, she cool peoples. Anyway, if you enjoy these spooky story time and you're not following me, then I don't know what you're doing. If you're not following me on Instagram, is it even real? If you didn't subscribe to my YouTube channel, do you not want more and longer videos? And I like the idea of calling y'all my spaceship. Spaceships were meant to fly. Anyway, leave a comment letting me know how you feel about the name, and if you have a new suggestion, don't forget to submit your stories. Starships were meant to... It's starship, not spaceship. Yes, so let's get into Ghost Bitch. This one is about the missing ashtray that got me in trouble. When I first moved into this apartment, like I said, I always felt like there was something odd or something off about the apartment. I never wanted to admit that it might have been haunted, but this situation made me realize, yeah, this place is haunted. So this all happened within a month of me living here. At that, it could have been maybe 3 weeks. So one of my friends that I used to be really cool with used to come over to my apartment, and she used to smoke here. So she bought this ashtray, and I still have it till this day. But I'm gonna show you guys the ashtray, because why do I still flipping have it? It's a vape ashtray. We gonna call the girl Lala. She loved that freaking ashtray. It was a gift, whatever. But she used to leave her house with that ashtray and pull up to the crib to smoke. Long story short, me and Lala, we wind up falling out and we not friends no more. Lala did leave her ashtray here in her defense. So she asked me for her ashtray back, which is no problem. Bitch, have your ashtray. But the problem was, when I actually thought about it, it's been actually like 2 weeks since I've seen this ashtray. Hold on. Where is the ashtray? I'm like, okay, cool. I'll give you your ashtray back. Now, the bitch pulls up. She's outside my crib in her car. Mind you, my other friend was here, so she blowing up my other friend's phone, telling her, tell Nayla to bring me my ashtray. I'm downstairs, da-da-da-da. I'm like, bro, like, what the hell? This was the only ashtray that the crib had. So I remember the last time I used it, it was on my bed. Like, all my rolling materials, y'all, even up till this day, lives on my bed. So if I'm looking on my bed and I don't see this ashtray, that's already weird. And keep in mind, I have a very minimalistic room, okay? I don't have a lot of stuff. And at the time, it was even emptier because I had just moved in. I didn't even have this dresser. And also my bed is not elevated, so I don't have like an under bed storage area. It's either the top of my bed or the floor of the closet, which is what's so frustrating about losing things in my apartment because it's so minimalistic. Where else could it be? So Lala's downstairs pressuring me about this grinder, and I'm up here literally turning my apartment upside down. I go through my closet, which is right there. I emptied out my closet, like my clothes, my blankets, like whatever, because I just wanted to get rid of Lala. Because Lala at that point was sitting downstairs in her car, and it's been like maybe over an hour, and I'm desperately just trying to find this grinder so I could send Lala on her way. So I'm literally rummaging through my shit to find this freaking ashtray. My friend is helping me looking around, and it's really like, yo, where could it be? I didn't leave the house with it. If it's not on the floor, or it's not in my closet, or it's not on top of the freaking counters out there, where is the ashtray? Well, y'all, I turned my room absolutely upside down. I did not find it. I had to go downstairs and tell Lala. I had to tell Lala, like, yo, I'm so sorry. I really could not find your ashtray. Like, I literally looked everywhere for it. I'm like, I might have to pay you back, but don't drag it. Just tell me how much to send you. She made me pay $20 for this, so she could leave me alone. And get this, a week after, I paid for this already and I move on with my life. I come home one day and I find this ashtray. There was nothing on my bed before I left. My bed was pretty made. It was pretty clear, minus my roll-up stuff. Y'all, well, I come home and the first thing I see when I open the door is this ashtray right in the middle, right in the center of my bed. You gotta see the visuals. Like, I walked in and boom, just like that. Perfectly placed on my bed. And at that point, it'd been over a month since I'd seen that freaking ashtray, considering I had already paid the girl for it. I was asleep on my bed the whole month. It was not there. When I found it again, it was definitely very creepy. This is a 2-in-1 because this one is about my missing AirPods. Them AirPods. So when I moved in, I had a pair of AirPods. Them AirPods in my phone when I first moved in just seemed to be like the most miscellaneous items that I would just misplace a lot. Again, like I mentioned, I live in a minimalistic apartment. So if it's not on top of a surface or if it's not on the floor, where would it be? Again, like I said, I didn't even have this dresser yet, nor did I have this dresser yet. So where would it be? My phone would go missing all the time, but I didn't really pay that no mind because I was rarely on my phone. When I first moved in, I was spending a lot of time watching a lot of TV, so my phone missing wasn't really bothering me. But when it's time for me to go outside, best believe I need them AirPods because I need my music. One time that was so distinctive to me was I needed to go. I remember I was on my way to go do something tedious, so I know I needed my AirPods. I needed my music. Again, my AirPods, I used to keep it right next to my roll-up stuff on my bed. My phone, my AirPods, my charger, and my roll-up stuff right next to my pillow. So I woke up, no AirPod. What the fuck? I got ready, 2 p.m., still can't find them. I have to leave the house. Again, rummage through my closet, take everything I owned out of that closet, and I have a lot of clothes, you guys. I emptied it out. It looked like my closet threw up. No AirPods. And I'm thinking maybe I left it inside of like one of my closed pockets. So now I'm going over my laundry, looking inside my pockets to see maybe if I left it. No AirPods. And mind you, I'm growing very frustrated. When your shit goes missing and you can't find it, ooh. So then my brain starts to come up with stories to overcompensate for how my AirPods are missing right now. I had no one over, so no one could have mistakenly took my AirPods for theirs. Let me take a breather and let me just look around again. I have to leave the house. I left the house, no AirPods, and I'm sick about it. And at that point, it'd been well over a week. I still couldn't find them. So I gave up. And one thing about me, nothing money can't fix. And I had money at the time. So I got up on Amazon and I ordered me a new pair of AirPods. And Prime, ASAP. Got some new AirPods in 2 days. Cool. Awesome stuff. Kept using those AirPods. Forgot about the old ones. So then explain to me why or how one day I get home. I sit out in the living room and I'm watching some TV. Keep in mind, I looked in the living room, I looked in the kitchen, I looked everywhere in this apartment for those AirPods already. Before I spent my money on those new pairs, I at least looked around 2 more times because like, bro, are you sure? I was sure the AirPods was not here. And I even said, maybe I lost it and I be smacked. So maybe I lost it. Even though I feel like I would remember something as heavy as AirPods falling out of my bag, but whatever. I'm sitting in the living room, watching some TV. I look over a little bit, and behind the TV, I said, that looked like my old AirPod case. I get up, and behind the television was my AirPods. And no, I don't want to hear. Maybe you just missed it because it was behind the TV. No. I have also sat in my living room multiple times after the fact and watched TV, and I did not see that. Well, say at the time I found it right here. And it's the little shit like that would make me feel crazy. And every time my stuff goes missing, without failure, I will find it in the most obvious spot ever. Now at that point, I had 2 AirPods, which gave Ghost Bitch more ammo to fuck with me. So I went from having 2 AirPods to having no AirPods within a week. And I know people are like, how do you know the gender of the ghost? I call her a ghost bitch because she's a bitch. Seriously, like the amount of stuff of mine that she took, the amount of times that I thought I was losing my mind. It's a gaslighting experience when you know you put your stuff right here and you come back and your stuff is no longer there. And she also got to a point where she got really comfortable. And as a joke, I started to say, I have a ghost in my apartment and I'm gonna just call her ghost bitch. It was a joke at first. And then it wasn't a joke. Because one day I had a few friends over and she was fucking with them, their stuff. And you know, there's always skeptics. Like, girl, you don't got a ghost. So I said, hey, ghost bitch, they don't believe you exist. And I know that be pissing you off. One thing about ghost bitch, you do not deny that there's no ghost in here because she will reveal herself in some way, shape, or form. Because after I said ghost bitch, I know how you feel when people deny your presence. Like, what do you want to do? The LED lights in my apartment changed colors and then changed back. I said, is that enough for you? And the friends that I had at the time, they were really jokey. So they were like, okay, well, let's just talk to her. So I was like, okay, ghost bitch, like, where are you from? Who are you? Are you white? And I remember we were just clowning her for being white. And something freaking fell. And I said, oh, guys, I don't think she's white. So then I said, ghost bitch, show me a sign if you're black. Nothing happens. Show me a sign if you're Asian. Nothing happens. Show me a sign if you're white. Nothing happens. And then we stopped. And then I said, ghost bitch, give me a sign if you're a Native American. Without a second passing, a cup in the kitchen literally just fell off the counter. At that point, it happened in front of my friends. So that day, I confirmed that ghost bitch was Native American. But me and ghost bitch, we have since progressed our relationship. I told her, please, just stop wreaking havoc on me, bitch. I live here and you don't even pay bills. It's kind of fucked up, but I told ghost bitch one day, I said, ghost bitch, we can literally be a powerful team. We live together. Why fuck with me when we can fuck with other people together? And so ghost bitch, whenever I have guests over, if it's a guest you really don't like, I give you full 1,000 permission to fuck with them. And I will help you. But you gotta leave me alone, sis. And let's just say some people have a lovely experience coming over here and some people don't. But honestly, it's been a while since I've heard of Ghost Bitch or from her. I wonder if she moved on, but I have a lot more stories. So we literally went from enemies to friends, so stick around for more Ghost Bitch content. And if you're like not following me already, then like, what are you doing? I got my neighbor's stories, so I will be telling those next. Follow my YouTube. It's where it says Instagram and my TikTok bio. And somebody suggested the name Spaceship for my supporters. Let me know how y'all feel about that or comment more options. I don't know. It's y'all name. Alien loves y'all. Bye. I live with a ghost. I can't believe I've never gotten into this one on my page, but I live with a ghost. If you've ever been to my house one time, a few times, then you know about Ghost Bitch. And yes, I've named her. I call her Ghost Bitch. I can't even get my friends to corroborate on this because they too have been victims. My neighbor herself has had some paranormal experiences living literally right next door to me. And it's only 2 apartments in this building, so let's get into Ghost Bitch though. Okay, so when I first moved into this apartment, I lived here alone, okay? So for the first 2 years that I was living here, it was just me, no roommates, nothing. When I first moved in, I had a hard time sleeping because it gets really, really dark in this apartment, even though this is in New York City. I remember I used to have to sleep with my closet light on, so that would mean I had to leave my closet like cracked, and I hated that because I could not sleep in the dark. Mind you, I was 22 when I moved out, a grown woman, and I was so uncomfortable. My first investment from Amazon Prime when I moved out was these LED lights. Prime, ASAP. And it's important to note that at that point, my neighbor hadn't even moved in. So I was living in this townhouse by myself for 2 months before my neighbor even moved in. The first thing that I remember being very uneasy was I used to hear footsteps a lot. And it's a walk up to my apartment, so it used to feel like people were literally running up and down the steps at all types of hours of the night. Like, could be 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, don't matter. It sounds like there's a lot of activities going on in that freaking hallway. Not to mention, we have a door downstairs that makes a lot of noise when you like push it shut. So it would definitely sound like the door downstairs is opening and closing. And mind you, when it does that, because it does it with so much force, it would send a lot of wind upstairs and it would kind of like shake my door into my apartment. So a lot of that throughout the night, anybody could just chuck it up to, well, maybe somebody was coming in the building. But who's coming in a building? Because at that point, I lived here by myself in this townhouse. The other apartment was completely empty. Again, I didn't want to jump to the apartment is haunted, so I just chucked it up to, again, this is New York City, so you hear a lot of noises. And mind you, I live alone, so regardless, even if it was real life humans walking in and out, that's sketchy because I live by myself and I'm a small female. And if it wasn't humans walking in and out, that's sketchy too. It was definitely very uneasy, but again, I'm divinely protected, so I just ignored it. The next thing, I have a living room, but I stay in my room a lot. And when I stay in my room, I close my door because whatever goes on out there is none of my business. I like to be delusional in peace, okay? At first, I used to hear full on people talking right in my living room. And in the front, I have this like leather furniture. And you can hear people as if they're like standing up from the furniture. So you can hear the crinkling, you can hear the readjustment of the furniture, all of that. Not to mention, I'd see a lot of things flash by and I'd look and I'd see nothing. And keep in mind, I'm not even getting into none of the crazy stuff yet. And then I would hear things falling on the floor out there, cups falling, things like that. And I'm so delusional that every time I would hear something fall out there, I would say, yeah, it was probably outside on the rooftop for sure. At the time, I had one cat and she used to sleep in here with me. So I knew it was never her making all the sound outside. And also my cat used to literally just chase things around the apartment into my room. Like, my cat would sit at a corner and meow for hours and she would not let up. Like, she's not trying to exit the room, anything. Like, she would literally stand in a random corner and just meow for hours. And this would always somehow happen around 2, 3 in the morning. I would wake up to Coco just meowing at this one spot and she's aggravated. This is the one that actually scared the shit out of me. Word to everything, bro. My cat is sleeping and she's kind of like on my lap and I'm watching TV and I'm sitting on the bed. Coco is sleeping, laying kind of like on my lap. Then suddenly, Coco, my sleeping baby, just yeets off of my lap. And it looks like something pushed her right off of me. Because it wasn't like she jumped. No, bro. She was pushed. And the way she got up out of her sleep, Coco looked around so confused, like, what the and then sat up and started meowing. At that point, I got the creeps. I got the goosebumps. I was like, oh, hell nah. And I took off cursing because now you're fucking with my cat. And I don't like that. I actually didn't like that at all. So I just started cursing at whatever it was. Like, do not fucking touch my cat. And my thing is, and mind you, I'm going off. Like, because I be letting y'all live. I be letting y'all coexist. But one thing you're not going to do is fuck with my cat. She ain't do nothing to you. So don't make me get this sage up out of here and sage you right up out of here. I'm about to evict you. I was pissed. And that never happened again. At least not on my watch. Everything that would happen in this apartment, at first, I would just chuck it up to something else. Because I don't want to believe that I live alone and I live alone in a haunted place. So to help me with the random noise outside that was going on and there's nobody out there, I just got me a second cat. So now when I hear noise in the living room, it's just the cat. And after I did get the second cat, I will say a lot of those problems really started to subside. But now we're really gonna get into Ghost Bitch and how she got that name. The one thing that would make me surrender to the fact that, yo, bro, you got somebody else in this apartment was the fact that my stuff just kept going missing. Either my stuff would go missing or I could have sworn I put my laptop here. What is my laptop doing in the bathroom? That's weird. Maybe I put it in the bathroom. How the hell did my keys wind up in the freezer? Now, I will be honest. I be schmacked, yes. But putting my keys in the freezer? No. Or my things go missing and they would just pop up a few weeks later or a few months later. Like, she will take your phone, your keys, something important right before you're about to leave. Ghost bitch got me in trouble before by taking guest stuff. And now the guest is thinking that I took their stuff and I'm not letting it up. Meanwhile, I really can't find it, so I'm out here paying for stuff that I will later find. Needless to say, I had to have a heart-to-heart with Ghost Bitch because she put me through the ringer. The first ever offense was the missing ashtray that did not belong to me. And I will tell you guys about the AirPods that just kept disappearing. But not tonight, you guys, because I'm honestly so tired and my brain is muffled. But the next story times are going to be really juicy because now I'm going to talk to my neighbor. I'm going to get her side of the story and what's today happening to her while she was living here. And she also has a lot of creepy stories of her own. So I will ask her for permission to tell some of those. And she's Jamaican, you guys. So big up Jamaica. I don't even know what I'm going to call this series yet, but subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Instagram in case they do ban this app. And if I'm alien, then what are you guys? Like, I want to come up with like a little cute name for y'all because I like that kind of stuff. Follow me, leave a comment. I love you guys. I'm going to bed. If you owe somebody money in Haiti, you better pay them back. I'm back with another spooky story. This story was told to me by a family member when I was younger. So y'all, this guy, we're gonna call him Mark. One day, Mark came up a little short financially and he needed to borrow some money. So Mark was going over who he could ask for money and then he came across this particular person. So Mark used to hang out this group of guys and they all used to basically work out on the rooftop together. And when they're done working out, they used to just hang out up there, drink beer and watch ladies, you know? And the guy Mark was going to borrow from, we'll call him Ben, used to basically hang out. But he used to come once in a while. He wasn't basically one of the regulars, but once in a while he would pop up and he'd be cool. Like, Ben and Mark were most definitely cool. Because Ben don't really come to the rooftop to work out that much, Ben wasn't really a buff guy in comparison to the other guys. Mark was a big dude, okay? And also the other guys that were hanging out were also big, but Ben, he was pretty scrawny. That's important. Lucky for Mark, the next time he went to the rooftop, Ben showed up. So now everybody's hanging out, He pulled Ben's aside and he talks to Ben and he's like, yo, Ben, like, I'm really going through a rough patch right now and I need to borrow some money. And he's telling Ben, like, yo, if you let me borrow $50, like, I promise you, like, it won't even take me that long for real. I'm gonna pay you back. And Ben, without any hesitation, would hand Mark $50. And Mark, being extremely grateful, thanking Ben, thank you so much, man, you just saved me, like, I promise you, bro, I got you, I'm gonna pay you back. Ben is like, bet, don't sweat, but when would you pay me back? And Ben is like, bro, just give me until March 30th, which would be a week until that day. So Mark was a regular coming to this rooftop. So a week would pass and Mark would still come back to the rooftop and hang out. So then Ben would also show up to the rooftop to hang out and they would talk, what's up, what's up, what's up. But at this point, a week is up. So Ben would ask Mark, yo, like, what's good with the money? And Mark would tell Ben, yo, like, bro, I got you. Like, I didn't get the money as soon as I expected. Like, I'm so sorry. I promise you. I got you on the 5th of April, which would have been a week exactly from that day. So Ben is like, okay, understandable. I got you. April 5th. Same case. April 5th comes around. Ben comes around and asks Mark, bro, do you have it this time? And Mark actually is like, bro, I don't have it. You would never believe what happened to me. As I was on my way here, I actually got robbed. So because I got robbed, I don't have any money for you. Ben is like, yeah, you know, that happens. But when do you think you'll actually have it? And Mark is like, actually, how about you give me till April 10th? I'm about to go play the lottery and I got you for sure. Cause I had this dream about these numbers. I got you. So now Ben is like, I'll be back in 3 days. And Mark is like, you should come back in 3 days because I'll have your money in 3 days. So now Mark shows up and Mark tells Ben, you know, so I did play the lottery, but like what ended up happening was that I lost all the money. So now I'm broke. Like, I don't have any money for you, not for me, not for anybody else. Like, there's no money here. You can't expect me to pay you back. And Ben is like, well, I beg to differ because you did say you were going to pay me back. damn near 4 weeks ago, and I gave you so much grace, so you are gonna pay me back. And Mark is like, well, after I told you that I lost my money in the lottery, I thought you would understand that I don't got no more money, so I don't understand what more you would expect from me. And Ben now is really getting serious. He's like, bro, I don't know what you think you're doing, but I would really advise you to pay me back. And now that really sounds like a threat. So Mark is like now really trying to size Ben up. Mark is getting all tough. Like, what do you mean you would suggest? Like, that sounds like a threat. Are you threatening me? Mark got Ben beat by a good size, okay? Ben doesn't entertain any of what Mark is doing and literally says to him, I'll deal with you later, and proceeds on walking away. Now, when a Haitian person tells you this, it's not good. Mark goes home that night, and as far as he's concerned, Ben is definitely not getting that money back. Not after that interaction that they just had. So he gets to the house, he goes to bed, laying in bed, drifting asleep. Suddenly, he starts to hear the wind outside, just going like really, really crazy, like Then he starts to hear footsteps like coming towards his door. Then he's hearing like creatures laughing like and his wife next to him, mind you, is sleeping. Things are falling. He's hearing things laughing like he is dead in the middle of chaos. Until he hears on his door. So Mark would reply out loud, go away. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you think you're doing. You need to leave me and my family alone. Go away. You're not welcomed here. Like trying to basically shun away these spirits, whatever is taunting him right now. However, he wasn't very successful. The windows fly open and in flies 2 figures standing in his bedroom, just awkwardly just staring at him. So he's all spooked out and he's backed up on the bed like, yo, what the? And mind you, the wife is not moving. There's not, like, the wife is deep in sleep right now. So the 2 spirits are very distinguishable. You can tell them apart, basically. Because one of them was very serious and the other one was very, like, this very sinister kind of character. The very serious one didn't say very much. But the second one, the more sinister one, was dancing all around the room, just like hopping all around the room, laughing like while the other one stands still staring at him. And the sinister one would dance all around his bed and all around his bedroom, just dancing and smiling, and come real close to his face and ask, aren't you gonna ask us why we're here? Well, we'll tell ya. And they both together says, we came to collect on debt. And they would now tell him, you have 48 hours to pay Mr. Ben back, or our next visit won't be as fun. To which they would and disappear out of the window, and it would just close, and the night would just continue on. So Mark went to sleep, woke up the next day very confused, like, wait, was that a dream? Did that actually happen to me? But Mark is like, Ben, you send these 2 little demons after me for $50? If you thought that was gonna get me, let me get my leg back. So then Mark would go, do what he does, and send some demons back to Ben. Now, I don't know what happened from Ben's perspective, but what I do know is the next part told me that Ben wasn't exactly happy about the demon. So now a week goes by, Mark is in his house, doors is locked and everything. He has a couple of friends over, they're drinking beer, and they're actually talking about that situation. So Mark is explaining the situation to the guys like, you would never believe what Ben tried to do. First of all, he let me borrow some money, and then he's pressing me about his money, like, how dare him? And then, you know, of course, like, I'm Big Mark, so like I stepped up to him, you know, and I told him to back up. And then he had the audacity to send some motherfucking whatever those were in my bedroom to tell me, big old me, that I got 48 hours to pay him back. Nah, I wouldn't have it. So I went ahead and I sent him some demons. Real shit. I ain't paying you back. Well, y'all, as he's talking about the situation, everything in the house just starts to shake. So then his lights are going in and out and in and out. And then finally everything goes black. Everybody's freaking out trying to figure out what is going on. So right when the light comes on, now there's somebody wearing a cloak standing in the middle of his living room. Just so you get a reference, this is what it would be. Yes, there's somebody standing in his living room wearing all red, holding a freaking, I don't know, a baton. I don't know what you would call that. Like, it's a long stick. And then he slowly walks over to Mark. Which translates to, I am a grown man and you are a child. The guy looked up at Mark and Mark realized, yo, this is Ben. Ben is standing in the middle of my living room right now wearing this creepy cloak. What? Telling me that I'm a child in comparison to him. And that little stunt that he pulled with the demons, he didn't appreciate. Ben would then touch Mark's face and wish him well. And Ben now disappears. The other friends that were in the room were like, bro, what just happened? And Mark is like, bro, I don't know. That crazy guy was just in here. The Ben I was just talking about, he just appeared to threaten me again. And his friends are like, what? We didn't see nobody show up. We just saw some lights flicker and everything, but what are you talking about? We ain't seen nobody in this living room. And Mark knew he fucked up. By the time Mark realized he messed up, it was too late. Because the next day he would wake up with half of his face paralyzed. The side that Ben had touched when he was over the night before. So he walked around with half of his face completely deformed for the rest of his life. I know you guys said you enjoyed the long creepy story, so I gave you guys another long one. I will be posting more Lakukai Jab and mermaid content on my YouTube channel once it reaches 500 subscribers. Thank you so much to everybody who subscribed so far. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, give me a follow on TikTok, and if you made it this far, comment down below. Why wait, I'm back right now. This one was my first time having sleep paralysis. If you're about to go to sleep and you like to psych yourself out, I don't know if you want to listen to this one right now. So this one happened when I was 18 years old. This was my first year in college. And mind you guys, this happened in broad daylight. So I was about to go to work and I decided to take a nap. My shift would have been from 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. So I went to the gym and I got back home around 11:30 a.m. And I was really tired, so I said, let me take a nap before I get to work. So I went and I slept on my sister's bed. At the time, we had a bunk bed, and it was just easier to just go in the bottom bunk and just take a nap real quick. So I laid down and I fall asleep. So the first thing that happens is, you know when you're like halfway asleep, where you're still very much aware, you can still hear the things that are going on around you, but it's like you're drifting into sleep? That's how I felt. So as I'm laying down, I can feel my body's positioning on the bed, everything. And I hear someone come in the house. And I hear this person talking. And the closer that the voice gets to me, the more I start to identify that, oh, this is my sister. Since this is my sister, it's fine, you know, whatever. So I hear my sister come into the room and she reaches up and over me like a hug. Now, me and my sister don't hug. So I'm assuming that she's reaching over me to grab a charger. Because like I said, we had a bunk bed. She kept her chargers on that side. So I'm assuming maybe she's reaching over me so she can get her charger. I pay nothing no mind and I'm still there, you know, drifting asleep. So then I start to hear my father come home. So I'm like, oh, my father's in the kitchen. Okay, so that's cool. But in all of this, I'm not realizing that I can't move. Because I'm so aware of my surroundings, I'm not realizing that this might be a dream. And it hasn't even dawned on me that none of this that I'm experiencing is even real. So at this point, I start to hear a lot of noise in the living room. So I decided to open my eyes to see what all the commotion was about. So I open my eyes and I look over and I realize that my bedroom door was open. But it was weird because I always kept my doors closed. But it's whatever, I didn't think anything of it. So I try to get up to go join my sister who is in the kitchen because I can clearly hear her talking in the kitchen. But when I tried to get up, I felt a little bit lighter than usual. What do you mean? I'm about to tell you. You know when you get up, you can feel your weight. But at that time, it's like I weighed a feather. Because as I'm getting up, and I remember I was laying on my side, and I'm getting up on my side. And I remember everything just felt really like woozy, like I was high as shit. And finally I sit up and I'm still on my side. Again, I feel really light. So I finally open my eyes, and then I look over, and I see my body laying there. And instantly, I know this is not good. In Haitian culture and religion, they teach you that your spirit is never supposed to leave your body. That means you're dead. So I'm like, I fucking died? Wait a minute, what happened? What was going on? I'm instantly confused, petrified. Like, I don't know what the heck is going on. I'm scared. So naturally, as one would, I tried to lay back into that body. But something's not connecting because I'm trying to lay my spirit back into the exact shape of my body, and it don't feel like my body is taking my spirit because every time I sit up, my body's still laying right there. So I realized what's happening and I'm like, I'm not leaving my freaking body. So remember how I said I got up on my side? So my back was still facing the door. So I decide to turn to face the door. And when I face the door, I see a tall figure wearing a top hat and everything, standing in the center of my door, staring at me. This motherfucker, I could not identify his features or nothing, but I just remember being utterly just petrified. I was so flipping scared. I just remember thinking like this is it. Like I don't know what I'm gonna do. So then I said, you know what? Just try to lay down. This is a dream, don't freak out. And some way, somehow, I just kept telling myself this is a dream, don't freak out. This is just a nightmare, don't freak out. Don't try to move, don't freak out. And after saying that for long enough, sure enough, I would wake up out of my sister's bed to my door being closed and absolutely nobody being home. And I had only napped for 15 minutes. I was feeling so generous today, so I decided to drop 2. I hope you guys enjoyed this new setting to really give you guys the creeps. And of course, if you're not following me and you enjoy these creepy stories, like, what are you doing? I drop one every day. If you guys enjoy the dream stories, let me know, because yo girl, I got dream stories for years. I've had a lot of crazy dreams, man. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and don't forget to submit your stories. I'm back with another creepy story. This one is from a certain Madonna Days who lives in Trinidad and Tobago. She ain't tell me which part, Trinidad or Tobago, but her mom and her dad, however, are both from St. Vincent. So Madonna was born in Trinidad and Tobago and they lived in an old cocoa plantation in the countryside. At first, she described it as very peaceful and very fun. But at night, she said, and I quote, "Boy, let me tell you, scary." So in the house, her dad had a room that he never let her or anybody else go inside of. But in the night, she could hear people lambing, like they talking, laughing, having a good time. So she went on to ignore it and just go down to the kitchen. So the next morning she got up, her mom and her dad had already left to wherever they went to go. And she already had her plans that she was going to meet up with her friends later that day. The plan was the friends was going to come over and they were going to do some crazy shit. But little did they know that whatever supernatural force was around had other plans for them. So then Madonna got up, she got dressed, and then left the house to go meet up with her friends so she can bring them back to the house. Now, mind you, she's not walking on a main road. She's walking through, like, you know, trees and bushes, but, you know, there's a passageway, obviously. So she takes that passageway to go meet her friends and everything is fine. She gets to her friends. Now it's time for them to journey back to the house. However, they're met with a little difficulty along the way. Now starts their haunting. So at first they're walking and they start to hear people calling their names from the woodworks. Like, who could be possibly calling them? But they would proceed, let's just keep walking. Then they said they heard stuff running through the bush, like really fast, like, and then they reported to hearing a lot of kids. So it's like, no, this is serious. So the friends scattered around to go look around to see what's happening. But once they look around, they investigate and they would see nothing. There's nobody here. So at this point, this was too much for the friends. The friends were like, yeah, we're good. It's okay. Like this, we've seen too much. Yeah, we're out of here. We're going home. Stay up. And Madonna still has to go home. Now she's alone. She turns and she sees this tall man in all black. And at this point, she tries to breathe, but it feels like there was no air. So she would go on to scream and cry for her mom and her father, but nobody could hear her. It was just Madonna alone and this strange, tall man. It feels like time completely stops. And this figure slowly starts to get closer to Madonna. And just like that, it starts to chase after Madonna. So Madonna is just running for her life, screaming, and behind her is this tall, all-black figure just chasing after her. She's running, and before she can get to the road, her father grabs her, and she's just, like, relieved to see her father, but, like, still freaking out. So she would then tell her father exactly what she just witnessed in those woods. And her father told her, never bring anyone home when I'm not around again. That concludes Madonna's story. Thank you for submitting your story. If you have a story that you want me to tell, please go ahead and submit it at submitalienstories@gmail.com. But honestly, it sounds like that father had something to do with that whole thing. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. And when you comment, it really does help because I use your comment to reply to the next video. And if I forgot to use your comment, I am sorry. You have to be consistent with your comment because I get so many. But don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And while you're at it, also give me a follow on Instagram. All of my platforms are the same, Rebecca Journey. I love y'all. Bye. This one is definitely a spooky one. You might not want to watch this one at night. Or do, if you dare. This one is definitely a long one, so let's get straight into it. So for the sake of this story, we're going to call this girl May. This story took place in Job Corps in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So May had actually been to Job Corps before, back in 2013, and she said despite the history of that place, which used to be, if you don't know, a mental hospital, and she said a TB hospital. When I looked up TB, it says tuberculosis. So a tuberculosis / mental health hospital. And there was also a cemetery right across the street from the campus. Despite all of those factors, back in 2013 when she went, she said it was a pretty normal experience. In fact, she actually had a good time. And that's why she wanted to come back in 2017, and that is where the story begins. She said there was a little college side next to the bigger dormitories. And the larger dormitory building on the second floor were basically the rooms where everybody would stay, and on the first floor was the cafe and the classes, basically. So a little preface is that May said that she had experiences in the past of seeing and hearing things that other people were not able to see and hear. But it was never really anything concrete. It would be like orbs or like things passing by, and anytime she would focus her vision, it would be gone. So like, you know. However, her stay at Job Corps, even her first day, would change that perspective forever. So her first day, she walks into her dorm and she meets her first roommate. For the sake of the story, we'll call her Cece. She described the room having 2 bunk beds and 4 storage lockers. So May chose her bed, she chose the bottom bunk, and Cece also chose her bed. She chose also the next bottom bunk over. The two are sitting down, getting to know each other, and Cece is a Christian girly, and I mean die hard. As they're getting to know each other, putting their things away, in walks the third roommate, and we're going to call her Kim for the sake of the story. In walks Kim, and Kim is a Muslim woman. Now everybody's sitting down and they give each other a list of boundaries to make living each other more comfortable moving forward. And as everybody's talking, May starts to suddenly feel like there's like children around her, like there's like this childlike energy, and it's so bothersome that she has to walk over and open up the window to let some air in. And I don't know if you've ever felt energy or spirits in a room before, but it's an extremely freaky feeling. So everybody is talking. May is completely freaked out, but she doesn't want to say anything because she doesn't want to creep out her Christian roommate and her Muslim roommate. After May and Cece finished unpacking, they decided, let's just go downstairs to explore, look around, let's look at the cafe and see what they got going on down there. As they're walking, Cece mentions, why do I feel like there's children around me? Like, I feel like children are following us. And that's like, aha, because that confirmed exactly what May was feeling. Even though May validated Cece, they weren't gonna be the ghost hunters, so they just dropped it and proceeded on their cafeteria tour. After the ladies checked out the cafe, they began to make their ways back upstairs when Cece noticed that the staircase that they literally just came down from now suddenly had toddlers' footsteps on them. So Cece's just like, girl, do you see these toddler footsteps? Again, they're not ghost hunters, so they just dropped it and proceeded to their room. Once they got to the room, May asked Cece if she could tell her something without any judgment, which Cece would give her the room to open up, and she would tell Cece she didn't want to come off weird or creepy, but ever since she got in the dorm, she felt something weird. She felt the childlike energy. She felt everything. So she's right here with you that some might actually be going on. The rest of the day went on. Later that night, an RA came in to, of course, make sure that everybody was in their rooms, that everybody was doing what they were supposed to do. After the checkup, everybody went to sleep. Angel was fast asleep until she heard a noise that woke her up. So Kim, the Muslim roommate, she had actually chosen the bed above May's bed. So they were like bunk beds. So May wakes up and notices that a woman is standing over her bed, staring, hovering over Kim. Well, the lady must have heard her move because her attention then switched from Kim right to May. And this lady came really close to May's face. And May, being extremely annoyed because why are you this close, gave her this look of being annoyed and then turn around and just go back to sleep. Assuming that this is just a rude RA just doing her job, May would turn around and just resume back to sleep. Following morning, May wakes up really tired and both of her roommates are already halfway dressed. She gets up and she's telling them about the RA that was in the room last night. And she was like, as a matter of fact, Kim, that lady was all up in your face. So they're like, RA? She's like, yeah, she was in her nightgown. She had gray hair, glasses. And automatically, upon hearing those details, Kim said, wait, what? Kim just started rummaging through her things. She described this lady to the T. This lady had gray hair, glasses. Kim pulls out her mother's obituary and gives it to May, and May realizes that that woman in that picture was who in fact was standing over her bed to look at Kim. So now Kim's just like, oh my God, I was rude to I was rude to Kim's deceased mother. Because she was so annoyed that she was that close to her face, she just dismissed her. Oh my goodness. But ultimately, this is really hard to believe. So Kim and Cece are like, maybe this is just like a really fat misunderstanding. So let's just drop it. The theme of this story is them dropping it. And also too, May was thinking, in her defense, there is no way she actually saw a ghost that clearly. Like, there's no way. So they went on with the day. Nothing happened. It was a pretty ordinary day. She got back to the dorm, and this is when her torture nightmares began. Because every night for a week, she dreamt that she was a patient wearing a straitjacket, outrunning a terrifying doctor. Those dreams were so bad and so intense that it actually started to affect her waking life, where she started being more and more aggressive to staff. She even threw a chair out of a window once. And everybody's just thinking that, she's losing her mind because she never told anybody about the dreams that she was having or how she's dealing with having seen a literal ghost. But the night that her dreams stopped, a girl that she said that lives maybe 4 doors down from her went up to the 3rd floor. And mind you, you're not actually supposed to go up there. The 3rd floor you're not allowed up there for some reason. But this girl actually managed to make her way up to the 3rd floor to explore, and there this girl would see that there were still furnitures up there from the time that this was a tuberculosis hospital. The reason why this girl was frantically banging on her door was because when she came back to her dorm, everybody else was asleep. She notices that there was a terrifying doctor in her room. So she ran out of that room, like frantically, like you could not convince her to get back into that room. So she's just knocking on May's door, and May would open the door, and that would be her first official time meeting that girl. And the girl would tell May, I don't know, something just kind of led me here. Something told me like you would be able to help. So like, I'm here. So May ended up telling the girl about her dreams and like the similarities. And they're like, there's no way this is not real, because they didn't even know each other existed before these experiences. So over the course of a month, nothing crazy was happening in particular. However, in other people's counts, they've heard women crying in the bathroom. Some have said that they've seen kids. So with all of this information, May doesn't want any type of smoke. She just wants to go on about this without bothering any spirits. And everything was going good. But then she had to be moved to the college side. And at the college side, she gets her own dorm. She used to sit out in the lobby like the rest of the students, but she was fixated on this specific set of pipes that this building had. Because those pipes used to make some weird noises. It sounds like something was banging on those pipes. And May just thought, nah, this has to be something supernatural. She was so fixated on those pipes that one day an RA approached her and asked her, are you good? And she would go on and explain that, my father used to build houses and like pipes are not supposed to make that sound. And she knows that some plumbers would tap the pipes to communicate. So what's this? The RA agreed about the pipes and offered to bring her in some crystals because he said he had a gut feeling about her. So he bought homegirl some crystals the next day, and she picks an amethyst out of the bunch. And she picked the amethyst based off of how she felt. And she told the RA that something in the corner of the room wanted her to keep that amethyst. He told her that it was safe to look in the corner, and when she looked in the corner, she saw a small memorial for a boy who was unalived in that school. So she kept the amethyst for safety. The RA notices that May has a gift. So he asked her, hey, would you be willing if me and a few other students went down to the basement and sort of investigate? What are those banging pipes about? Maybe we'll find some answers down there. And May herself was very curious, so she agreed. So the next day, her, the RA, and a few students would walk to the basement to go investigate. If you guys want to hear the rest of the story, you gotta comment part 2. Also, so I know that you've made it this far, if you want more creepy stories like this, don't be shy. Hit that follow button. And make sure you come back for part 2 because I will be dropping it very soon. Also, if you don't follow me on Instagram, do you support me even? Lastly, mwah, I really do love you guys. You guys are the best. Alien out. Part 2. So the RA asked May if she would be down to go down to the basement and see what those banging pipes are all about. May would agree, so her, the RA, and a few students would then embark on this journey to figure out what those banging pipes are all about. What they didn't expect was for the journey to end so quick. So everybody's standing in front of the basement door wondering, okay, who should go first? May obviously felt like this situation was set up for her, so she decided that she was going to step forward and she was going to take the first step. Upon that first step, she felt something grab her throat, and it was so intense that it was making her voice froggish. She's being restrained by something, so imagine like she's just sounding like this. And the RA instantly pulled her out because he was not with it. He didn't want to investigate any further. Nobody else wanted to investigate any further. May even agreed, and she went to bed like regular. Now, before all of this, listen, May had a schedule, and she was very much so on top of it. And I mean, this girl woke up by 6, showered, went to breakfast, had 2 meals, and went to every single class every day. But the day after that she woke up, her brain wasn't thinking her normal thoughts. Her brain literally only had 2 thoughts. Something's off. She kept thinking that throughout the day. She tried going to breakfast, but she had absolutely no appetite because all her brain was thinking was something's off. Then she got to her trade class, and that's when things really went downhill. Even though May is really trying to save herself, she says, no, I have to go to the wellness center. So she excused herself from trade class. But she had every intention on coming back to class considering she left all of her belongings. Well, so then May walks to the wellness center, gets there, and greets everybody like she normally does. Everybody responds back like, hey, May, hey. They sit her down and they take her temperature like, you know, they would any normal student. Instantly after taking her temperature, they then turned around. The same staff that greeted her by her name turned around and said, what's your name? How old are you? And May is obviously looking at them confused like, yo, dude, it's me. What do you mean? They told her that her temperature was 106 and rising. They gave her a medicated freeze pop, and the second she put that on her throat, it literally felt like she was dying. She sat in that center with her temperature going as high as 109 for 3 days. So then finally they sent her to the ER because nobody had any idea what was going on. She was at the ER for 2 days, no answers. They sent her back to school where she finally got to speak to her grandmother, who is a Creole Polish woman, and she advised her to only drink water moving forward. And sure enough, in 7 days, everything was gone. But that is after she was spitting up blood and mucus for 3 days. Her grandmother told her that her spirit was stronger than whatever wanted her. May says that she hasn't played like that ever since. Phew, that was a freaky one. So if you guys enjoy these dark, spooky, mysterious stories, just know that I tell them every single day on my page. So if you want to follow me, do that. Make sure you follow me on Instagram too. And once my YouTube channel gets to 500 followers, I will eventually start dropping those stories on my YouTube page instead. So if you want to be one of the first 500 to support your girl, I would forever be grateful. If you have a creepy story that you want me to tell, you can now submit your stories at submitalienstories@gmail.com. Till next time, alien out. Yes, in Haiti, please mind your business. Story time. This one is brought to you by my uncle. This is a Lugau story, so things might get a little weird, but bear with me. So this lady, we're gonna call her Katya, okay? She is a SW. If you don't know what an SW is, just look it up. But that night, she was out on the street, running the streets, you know, trying to sell some pussy. She was standing out there all day. She ain't had no customers. So it's getting late, and she's like, you know what, maybe I should leave. But right at the moment that she's thinking that she's gonna leave, this guy in this rich, expensive car pulls up. And for that time, for somebody to have a car like that, that meant that that person had money, okay? It meant that that person meant business. So the car rolls up in front of the SW, and he's like, yo, how much for And she gives him the prices. Depending on what you want, I can provide it for you. He wanted to take her home. He didn't want service on the spot. So he wanted to take her to his house. So she agreed. She gets in his car and they start to drive away. Now the guy, there's really nothing suspicious or off-putting about him, considering like she's a SW. She's used to weirdos. She's used to creeps. So this is like, there's nothing standing out about this guy. He's on the steering wheel and she's next to him on the passenger seat. So they're driving, and y'all. And at some point, it looks like this driver is like basically falling asleep. Like he's just disassociating from the wheel and he looks like he's tired. She doesn't think anything of it and they keep going. They get a little bit further down the road. She saw something from her peripheral morph. So she does one of those and notices that the man who was driving the car turned into a dog with his 2 front paws on the wheel. This SW is witnessing a dog driving a car when a few seconds before it was a man. So the SW proceeds to take out her cigarette. She had a cigarette like in the back of her ear. She proceeded to take out the cigarette. She lights up the cigarette and starts to smoke. As she lights her cigarette, she starts to chant. She says, "Moi-même c'est petit Jacques Maget mieux. Pita au moins Jacques Maget." Jacques Maget is a loi. He don't play about his children, so I think that was just her reinforcing her protection. After she says that like 3 times, Jacques Maget c'est petit tout, the freaking dog next to him looks like something startled the dog, and the motherfucker started morphing back into a human. And now it's back to a man driving the car. Now, of course, the story does not end here. The man looks over to her and says, "I feel weird. Did you see anything weird? Do you feel anything weird?" The SW, looking straight ahead at the road, says, "Nope." He said, "You didn't sense anything?" She said, "No, I've just been in this car smoking a cigarette." She said, "Why? You feeling something?" He says, "Yeah, I felt a little weird, so I just wanted to know if you saw something, if you felt anything." She said, "Nah, I ain't see nothing. Must be something in the air." He proceeded to drive all the way to his house. She got there and was absolutely horrified. So while the guy went to go take a shower, she went into his kitchen, grabbed a knife, and kept it underneath her pillow. The whole time she was laying down like this, one arm underneath the pillow, holding on to the weapon. She would go on and do. She held on to that knife whole time, just in case. After they were done, it was way too dark and way too late for her to leave anyway. So she proceeded on staying the night, but she did not sleep all night. All night, she had that one hand under that pillow. The next morning, they woke up, he paid her, and she went on her way. But I was like, wait a minute, she went through with it? And she had to. If she had switched up anywhere in that timeline, that would have been it for her. Anyway, if you guys like these spooky Haitian stories, you can expect that I will be dropping another story time tomorrow. And I have an entire playlist of like 40-something videos, so go ahead and check them out. Go ahead and leave me a follow on TikTok and on Instagram. And leave me a comment letting me know what was your genuine reaction to this story. Also, thank you guys for 50,000 followers. Ay, boo boo.